Hi boys! Welcome back to the channel, YouTube. I'm Navy Dad. This is Rusted Bolt's Garage. Unfortunately, not a Miata video. You see, old Blue started acting like an old truck, and one thing led to another. And here we are. Okay, so wasn't going to do a video on this, but I'm doing it, so might as well shoot it, right? So what had happened was, my 25-year-old compressor was going out. I was looking for a new one on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. I found this compressor. It was a real pain in the ass to get that out. And while I was looking in Greenville, Texas, I found something else that popped up on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, almost brand new Beltec drop rotors, or drop spindles, with almost brand new rotors on them. So, couldn't pass it up. It was 200 bucks for the whole thing, and dude's really cool as hell. 95 short wide, full 1-ton dually conversion. Really cool. I should have taken pictures. Don't know why I didn't. So, anyway, one thing led to another. Then, I got these on Amazon. Nice quality, really good. I'll put the links down below. The Zerk fittings are not tapped. You gotta tap them. Don't do it before you put it in the truck. So, one thing led to another, ended up at the junkyard yesterday. Of course, I end up at the junkyard all the time. So, I picked up this. This is out of 97 Suburban. Yes, it's a rear sway bar. So, I gotta jack up the rear of the truck, I gotta do this, so I might as well do a sway bar at the same time, right? Why not? So that's how that happened. So, might as well film it and we'll get started. Yeah, had a lot of coffee this morning. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is thoroughly read the instructions. Don't take my word for it that this is the right way to do it, because I just do it. I mean, I don't usually read instructions, especially these. I think these were written by a monkey, not a gas monkey. But do thoroughly read the instructions. All right, let's go over the truck. Let's get it jacked up safely, of course. Powder coating on this is very nice too, by the way. And they were cheap. Okay, sorry about the wind noise, and I'll move the camera around as we do this. It's kind of bright out. It is absolutely gorgeous. Today is what, the November 4th, I think it is. Sunday, November 4th. It is 70 degrees. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is absolutely beautiful. Obviously, we have to work on cars today. All right, so got it jacked up on the frame, and I've got the jack supporting under the axle, because you're going to have to raise and lower that. So go ahead and undo your bolts. I've already done the right side. Now I got to go do the left side. Okay, got our nuts off. Fortunately, some of you folks in the Rust Belt are probably going to end up having to cut these suckers off, but these came off pretty easily. Soak them down. I soaked them down yesterday with a PB Blaster to get them off. So we're going to take this out, then we're going to raise up the rear end with the jack. So that's why you got to have both sides off at the same time. To get this bolt out, you've got to be up here, past this. You can't get that out until you get up above the frame right there. So we'll do that. Okay, so we got that bolt out. Now we got to get this guy out. So let's raise the rear end up a little bit. Okay, as soon as I pull that out, that sucker's going to drop and land precariously on me. So we'll put the camera down for a moment, and it's out. Next step is to put the new one in. And here we go. Okay, so in reverse, do the same thing. Attach the top bolt to both sides first, and then lower the axle down a little bit to connect the bottom bolt. Now, a couple words about this particular brand. I don't know if the others are like that or not. But the Zerk fittings were not tapped. And the Zerks that came with it were not of the quality to be self-tappers. So I had to tap it with a quarter 20. I think that's, yeah, can you see that? Well, maybe you can't see it. Anyway, it's a quarter 20. Now, in this particular case, I have no idea what size that Zerk was. So I just started it a little bit and then was able to screw the rest of it in. So make sure you do that before you install these, and go ahead and grease it up too. Just have that all done before you attempt to install this. Okay, so let's get the rest of this in. Oh, and depending on, you know, what brand you choose and how tight this is, you know, to slide it back up onto the original bushing, you might have to finesse them a little bit. What's finesse? Oh, come on. You know what finesse is. That's what finesse is. Oh, and I screwed up. The lowest point on these is actually the top, not the second one, or third if you have a third one. It's actually the top. That will bring the vehicle to its lowest point in the back. You have to think in reverse symmetricals. What is reverse symmetricals? Okay, so now what you want to do is get your bolts back in and put a little anti-seize on there, but just put them in so they're like about that tight, okay? Because what you want to do anytime you're doing suspension work like this, you need to torque this stuff down, tighten it down with the full weight of the suspension on the vehicle. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that here in a second. And as far as torque specs, I didn't look them up. Tight enough is the torque specs. No. Okay, to prepare to torque it down, lower your truck as close as you can to ride height with the get down here, my knees are killing me, with your jack under the axle, so you've got all the unsprung weight, or this sprung weight, I guess, I don't know, as close to ride height as possible, so you pretty much have the full weight of the vehicle. Now, don't be a dumbass and get under there with just a jack. So you can see I have my jack stands ready to go in case that thing collapses. It won't go very far, and I won't go quished. All right, so let's torque it down. Okay, so next up is the sway bar. And sorry about the wind, hope you can hear me. Damn it, wind came out of nowhere. It was beautiful. And now temperature's dropped. Anyway, so next up is gonna be the sway bar. And this is not a super plug and play, but it's really close. I know there's lots of stuff on the internet about installing rear sway bars on these and using different connectors and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to make this as simple, stupid, easy, and cheap as possible. So what I started with is a 1997 Suburban rear sway bar and the end links. Now the Suburbans and Tahoes from that time period are all pretty much the same. There's some differences in the back size-wise, but I measured like 4 or 5 different Suburbans and Tahoes and 2-wheel drives and 4-wheel drives, and they were all the same. And I will apologize for my neighbor's stupid ass, barking ass dog, if you can hear that in the background, all day long. Anyway, be sure to get all of the parts, all of the hardware for this. Don't forget anything, okay? These are, see that? These are the frame bars. These mount on the frames, and it's really important to get the hardware because you see this piece right here. This is really cool. So when you drill your hole, you got your bolts right there. This goes up on top of the frame, and when you start cranking it down, it locks it in place. So it works really well, and that part of the frame is open, so you're okay there. So you definitely want both of these. And of course, this is where the end links themselves bolt into. And I'll show you how I'm going to attach this to the axle and to the frame in just a second. But, oh crap, I forgot one thing, hang on. Okay. This is a mounting bracket that mounts the bar right here to the axle itself, okay? And then this is where the bushing goes. This will be an important part. I'll show you how we're going to do that here shortly. But, okay, I tossed the bushing. The bushings were actually in pretty good shape on this particular truck. In fact, The end links themselves are in really pretty good shape. I'm going to use those for the time being. But I was going to just, you know, get new bushings and toss those, and they were actually in pretty good shape. I shouldn't have done that. If you go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone right now, try and find a rear sway bar bushing for a Chevy Suburban 92 to 99. They don't list it. They don't list it. So they do list a universal one, which you can order, which I just did, but I tossed those. So if they're in good shape, go ahead and grab them and use those. But it's really kind of weird. I'm going to go on Amazon, see if I can find them. I'm sure they're there, or call my local Chevy dealer. But anyway, grab all the parts and everything. Now again, this is not a total plug and play, but it's really pretty easy. Now this whole bar, okay, I've got the bar, the end links. So anyway, the bar, the end links, the mounting brackets, and everything, I bolted it all together and went to pick and pull, went up to the, you know, the front desk, and usually the couple of guys that I always work with, I mean, I'm there a lot. I am a card carrying member, and look how worn out that sucker is, man. They can't even scan it anymore. So anyway, what they usually do is they just charge me a set rate. That's why it's always important to bolt everything together. But got the new girl, and she charged me the bar, the end links, and the bracket all separately, but still the entire thing was only $45. So like I said, all the stuff I like to do to this truck, I want to make it simple, I want to make it cheap, so that you can go and get the parts at any junkyard and do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, hold the phone. My memory card crapped out on me and missed something important. Okay, so how you're going to mount the sway bar to the axles is actually using muffler clamps. You're going to need two sets. You're going to need two 3-inch, and you're going to need two 2.5-inch. What you're going to do is you're going to put this over the axle, and you're going to bend it in a little bit, like I'll show you here in a second, or maybe I already did. I'm not sure where this is being placed. And then you're going to put this on here. That's important because your bracket for your sway bar to the axle is 2.5 inches, and you have to bend that to move that over there. That's what you're going to want to use. Okay. Now, I didn't go to Lowe's Depot to see if I could find some longer U-bolts, but I'm not sure they're thick enough of the metal that would work well enough, but you might want to try them. If you have some that are a little bit longer, it is going to help you bend them in a little bit to mount them on the 2.5-inch flange to go up around the axle. But it's very important that you use this, because this is going to mount under the axle, and it's going to cause everything to be nice and firm. Okay. Apologize for this interruption. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay, I hope this isn't getting too dark. It's starting to get cloudy and a little bit dark and late in the day on a Sunday. Okay, so you're probably asking how am I going to know where to put the brackets? Well, it's really easy, because you are going to put them right in the center of the shock mounts, right here. And of course this one is reversed, but it still works, and you're going to route the bar under there. I'll show you that later. So anyway, what we're going to have to do here is going to have to take this 3-inch clamp, we're going to have to squeeze it together to make it 2.5 inches to fit in the other piece. No, we don't need to finesse right now. Here's how I squeezed a 3-inch clamp into a 2.5-inch clamp. Put a couple of jack ends on each end, put some long screwdrivers in it, and then grunted. It worked. Probably not the best idea. I'm sure there's better ways to do this. Okay, it's getting kind of dark, but here's our mock-up. This is what it's going to look like. And oops. Here is our mount. You can see this. I know it's dark, I'm sorry. So that's going to go right here. And what we're going to have to do is, you see that? That's the rivet right there that's going to have to be drilled out. That actually goes for the shock mount. So we're going to have to drill that out, drill another hole, and then bolt it in. It'll be just fine. It won't hurt anything. Now, something else to mention, I just put brand new shocks on this stupid thing 2 weeks ago before I decided to do this. I am going to have to put lower end shocks on it. Otherwise, the shocks are going to bottom out. So that is something to consider when you're doing this, is you do want to put lower end shocks on. All right, we'll be back another day. And we're back on a different Sunday. Another beautiful day here in Texas. So anyway, this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to break it up into two parts, and I'll do the front drop in a second part because there's a lot of information about doing this rear sway bar. However, I went to Summit Racing yesterday, drove all the way out there, which is a little over an hour drive, because they were having a car show, last one of the year, and so I could go ahead and pick up my Beltec drop shocks. And so I opened up the box this morning to install them, and what do we see? What shocks do those look like? The front shocks. Yeah, they gave me the wrong ones. Specifically wanted rear shocks because I'm using Beltec drop spindles, so I don't need drop shocks. So anyway, I love the guys at Summit because you call their customer service and they will bend over backwards to fix it, which they are, and they're shipping me return label and the new shocks, which I should have on Tuesday. So we'll do that. And, well, actually, I'm not even going to bother to show you how to install the shocks. We'll just show you the after effects. So let's get back to the sway bar. Okay, so first I wanted to talk about the end links. So on the GMT 400, the end links themselves are really short. And that is in part because the way it mounts on the Suburban and Tahoe. The frame is completely different on Suburban and Tahoe. Instead of a flat frame like this, it arches up this way. So that mount is actually kind of mounted at this position, and it lowers the mounting part on this, if that makes sense. Probably not, but you get the picture. So when you install this on the truck, it's actually going to put this thing at a higher angle. Theoretically, you want to have a sway bar that is level with the ground. So the school of thought is, or at least what I read on some of the forums and that type of thing, is to actually use the end links from a GMT 800. Now, I'll show you the difference in sway bars, why you can't use a GMT 800 sway bar on a GMT 900, because the rear end is completely different. They went from leaf springs to 4-link and coilovers, and the actual sway bar is reversely installed. And actually the end links installed back here. I'll show you, because I'll show you on the Fast Attack Tahoe, because the GMT 900 series is the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap these out. You can see they're quite a bit longer, and that will actually give us a level bar. Okay, so here is the sway bar on a GMT 900, 800 series truck. So you can see it is completely reversed here. So you can see that. So you can't use this bar, even though it's a lot thicker bar, you can't use this on the GMT 400s. And of course, here's your end link, because it actually installs behind, and the bar itself is backwards. So take that out of the loop. Okay, so this is where we're going to start with our installation of our brackets. That rivet right there is actually a rivet that holds one part of the shock mounting bracket. So we're going to cut that out, and that is almost a perfect placement. Actually, it is a perfect placement for the bracket, and that is going to be our starting point to drill these out. Now the other side does not have a hole at all there. So we're going to have to do some very specific measurement, and I'll show you how to do that and where to drill. And I'm going to say this a couple of times. Your brake lines are right above the other side where we're going to drill. You need to unbolt and move them over before you do this so you don't cut your brake line. Safety first, boys and girls. These actually fit over my glasses so I can actually see when I'm grinding off. Jesus. So, that's it. That thing is a booger to get out. So, make sure you got a nice fresh drill bit and a big ass hammer. All right, let's get this in. Okay, so like I said, that was kind of a booger to get out. And you can't get a grinder up above to cut off the top part of the rivet. because the flange under here for the shock mount has a lip about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. See, there's just no way to get a grinder in there, so you're gonna have to drill it. So now your next important piece, okay, you're going to install this and go to the, like I wallowed this out a little bit. Make sure that your bolts are right at the edge right here, at the edge of the where the rivet came out, and then you're going to measure here to here, which is 9 1/4 inches to the center of where the rivet was from the edge here. And that will be exactly the same on the other side. This hole is the same on both sides because that is the access hole to get to the bolt that mounts the frame to the bed. So it's going to be the same over there. So again, this is from here to the center of that rivet is 9 1/4 inches. So now I'm going to install this side and we'll show you what to do from there, and then we'll go do the other side. Okay, so here's the bracket installed. Now you don't have to worry about measuring that last hole. All you have to worry about, sorry for the jiggle there, is how to operate a Sharpie. Now drill your hole. And there you go, it's installed. Oh, now go do the other side. Okay, so here's our other side installed. And keep in mind when you're drilling these out, you are going to get showered with lots of hot sparkly stuff. So you might want to protect yourself like I didn't. Make sure you're wearing eye protection because the last thing you want is a piece of freaking hot burnt metal searing your eyeball. Okay, here's our bar, getting ready to finish the install. And I totally forgot about something. So if you're going to use your the GMT 800 or 900 for that matter uplink, you are going to have to drill it out just slightly, not only on your bracket right there, but on the bar itself. And I totally forgot about that until I started to grab the hardware. GMT 800 is a slightly larger bolt. I think this is a 3/8 inch, and the GMT 800 is a 1/2 inch. This is why you don't want to do that. You could use your original hardware and just crank it down, but there's way too much play in there. And no matter how tight you grunt that down, at some point that's going to slide around, and that's just going to cause a little bit of loss of stability. Now it's not like I'm ever going to autocross this truck. No, if you're going to autocross, you really need to buy professional grade stuff. This is just for fun and to help the truck handle a little bit better. So you're going to have to drill that out. Again, it's 1/2 inch. Okay, now we're ready for our install. I'm not going to lie to you. Drilling out this and this to be able to accept this and that from your GMT 800 sway bar end links is a bitch. If you have access to a drill press, it's much easier. It's alright, let's get this sucker installed. Oh, and forgot these. These are the energy suspension bushings that you want. There's 7/8 or 22 millimeters, and I'll put the link below from the Amazon, the Amazonian, that place where we buy all of our crap. Okay, we've got them kind of loosely in place right now, and here's kind of a let me get around here. Okay, pro tip. I get to say that every once in a while. It's kind of funny. Anyway, what you want to do is take some zip ties, wrap it around here, of course, and right around the leaf spring here, and that will help you hold it in place, because otherwise you're going to need 3 hands to bolt that up first. That's what you want to do first. Now, what I'm going to do is install the end links. Then we are going to support the truck on its axles so that we can tighten up everything. Okay, now installed. Pretty cool looking, huh? Almost looks factory. Okay, so something I wanted to mention about this, of course, after you drill your holes out here for your GMT 800 end links, these are 18 millimeter front and back, as is the bottom. But one thing you need to keep in mind is that nut right there, which is how you tighten this, because that's on a ball. That's 19 millimeter. So make sure you take 18 and 19 when you go to the junkyard to take these off. One thing I forgot to mention, when you're tightening everything down, once you've got it, you know, all the weight on the axle, tighten down the end links first, then tighten down the axle. Do that second. Now you're going to want to go back and check these. The end links should be fine, But after you've driven this thing a couple hundred miles, go back and check those U-bolts and make sure that they're good and tight. Okay, well I hope you all enjoyed that one. Sorry it got a little bit long, but there's a lot of information when you're doing the rear sway bars. In fact, there's a lot of information on YouTube, there's a lot of information on the forums, people using different brackets, different sway bars and all that sort of thing. So I wanted to try and make this as simple and easy as possible, and very easy to find the parts, obviously. Any Suburban from 92 to 99, any Tahoe from 95 to 99, and the 2000 Limited, don't forget that one. And of course, the rear sway bar end links from any GMT 800 or GMT 900 Suburban or Tahoe, which covers everything from 2000 all the way up to 2014. So easy to find those parts, and I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I'm not going to do part 2 right now, do the drop rotors, because it got really cold here. Holidays are coming up. I'm going to do some travel. In fact, check out my Instagram coming up in the next week or so. You're going to see some wild stuff. My Instagram is V8 Carnut. All right, boys, you be safe. I'm Navy Dad, and I'm out. And I need a beer.